let me just go over some of the background from these articles that I started covering before our interview with Alan Combs came up. Hey, did you hear Alan Combs say he's giving rights to the detainees? And then I came back from during the break. I said, oh, really, Alan? Are you in front of a computer? He said, yeah. And I said, Google, Obama backs Bush, no rights for detainees. And he Googled it, and there was all the mainstream news with Obama's statement and his executive order that they would continue to secretly hold them with no habeas corpus, no Geneva Convention. And Alan had to say, oh, I disagree with that. I mean, and we have the videos and his statements. He did say he'd bring the troops home immediately, then 16, then 23. Now they're saying indefinitely. That's how it works. Oh, yeah, immediately, 16, 23, 42, never. And they're going to have parades, though, for returning brigades. You know, they send brigades over and bring brigades back. That's how they do it now, as a total force. They don't just replace individuals. So, oh, look, the troops are marching home, victory. Dun, 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 dun. They'll be like, Alex, the war's over. And I'm like, oh, really? More suicide bombings, more death. Oh, you're just a defeatist. There is no end to the lies, folks. There's just, but see, under Obama, they'll just say the war's over, and that's the end of it. The war is over. It's all over for the unknown soldier. It's all over for him. Okay, I told you about death education. Just a smattering of what's happening at the schools. WorldNet Daily. Death education at Columbine High. And it says that they admitted that they were given death education. And they teach you how to die, how to hang yourself, how to kill yourself. A video was made of Tara's testimony, distributed nationwide by Eagle Forum. The tape was aired on British television, and the Atlantic Monthly did a feature story on it. The producers of 2020 saw the video and decided to do a segment on the death education that was aired in 1990 at Columbine. And in the video, it teaches them how to die in coffins, how to kill themselves. And it just gets into the unbelievable, how the suicides just explode. So there you go. Here's another one. Armed men terrorize school unannounced. Here's another one all over the country where they unannounced show up, WCAU TV, and say, we're going to kill you. We're terrorists. And everybody freaks out and, you know, passes out from fear. I mean, that is the most hardcore form of fear-based mind control. I've got an AP article out of Michigan where they came in and said, we are the Homeschool Defense League, and we're going to kill you. And it just goes on that front. But again, that's to demonize homeschoolers, Second Amendment groups, and to unannounce, freak the kids out and terrorize them where they're scared of guns for the rest of their life. That's how you kill the Second Amendment, traumatize the children. And it also sets the precedent to allow the police and military to do whatever they want, to get away with whatever they want. Classroom trash can used as toilet. A fifth-grade teacher allowed 5 students, a boy and 4 girls, to use a trash can as a toilet during a school lockdown drill when no one was supposed to leave the classrooms. The Charleston County teacher, Philip Fernando, was reprimanded. Should have just made him defecate on the ground, I guess. Last year for putting cardboard around a student's desk and keeping him isolated from his classmates for 2 hours from talking, whatever that means. On Tuesday, Fernando gave the Charlestown Academy students permission to use the trash can. When a girl used the bathroom, other girls held up jackets to shield the view while the students stood on the opposite with the wall with their backs turned. School district spokesman Jenny Adams said boys also did the same for the boy. It is not acceptable, Associate Superintendent Patricia Yandel told the newspaper. So, yeah, they were supposed to just urinate in their pants, I guess. During the drill, which lasted less than an hour, this is another article they found. I found one where they had to stay in the classroom all day with no lunches. But we tried to Google that and couldn't find it. During the drill, which lasted less than an hour, Fernando called the school's main office and said students needed to use the restroom. It was unclear what he was told, but Yandel said he was not told to leave students use the trash can. So that was the lockdown drill. Here's another one, Washington Post. School boost preparations for attack. Many anti-terror plans would stop parents from picking up children. School administration in the Washington area yesterday stepped up preparations for possible terrorism, and most school districts told parents that they would be prevented or strongly discouraged from picking up their children in the event of a biological chemical attack. Now, this was in 2003. They reported all this. We told people before 9/11, FEMA was doing drills of taking kids to FEMA camps, and we confirmed that. In Fairfax County, Superintendent of Schools Daniel A. Dominique told the school board last night that he would deploy more security forces around schools, limit parking near buildings, and cancel outdoor activities for field trips. And the nation's terror alerts were raised to its highest level, code red. He said he would also consider closing schools. So it's just a martial law lockdown. They do those here in Austin. For hours after they catch a bank robber, they'll still lock schools down. London County school officials yesterday added a shelter-in-place plan against chemical attacks and the usual emergency procedures, and said parents would not be allowed to get their children. So you got that. I saw you guys on screen. You found the AP article about Michigan telling them we're homeschoolers. I guess I'm going to find that in a minute. I think it's in the stack, actually. State brainwashing children to re-educate their parents for green dictatorship. This is a Paul Watson article, prisonplanet.com, that goes through where Al Gore says your parents don't know what's really going on in the world. Your parents are backwards. So you need to educate your parents about what's happening and basically report on them. High Court, UPI reports, appeared ready to Tuesday to approve broad national authority to strip search students for drugs without warrants. Now, here's an old one, 1999, March 26, 1999. This is in the archive now, the Pensacola News-Journal, but you can find it at web.archive.org/web1999. Or just Google Hobbs Middle School Marines, and it's the first link comes up. By Jenny LaCosta, News Journal staff writer. Now listen carefully. The sleepy atmosphere that precedes first period was broken at Hobbs Middle School on Thursday morning by a sound of Marines, Navy, and Coast Guard pilots marching through the school halls. While sixth graders in Lynette Whitefield's geography class were watching CNN reports on NATO airstrikes against Yugoslavia. Can we punch this article up? Thanks. They heard a voice bark over the intercom, military personnel, take your classrooms. The mock takeover of Hobbs Middle School by pilots and flight students from Whiting Field was a way to illustrate what martial law is all about, said Lieutenant Troy Bashirs, a Coast Guard pilot assigned to Whiting Field Naval Air Station. And I told you, we did interviews with Marines who covertly were doing martial law takeover drills in the late 80s. This has been going on a long time. Now it appears to be building. Well, it doesn't appear, it is, but appears to be coming to a head. If you guys can't find it again, just Google Hobbs Middle School Marines. But once the sailors and Marines, good, you have it. But once the sailors and Marines were in the classrooms, their mission was to teach for a day of subjects such as math, science, history, and geography, and give teachers a break, but it was unannounced to the kids. We were going for shock value initially, that's a quote, said Navy Lieutenant Dan Duderman, 29, but in the classrooms, we're showing the students practical applications of what they're learning. See, it's part of trauma-based mind control, folks, and then people then love their oppressors. That's also the psychology they're going for. The people that shock them. Some students brought up questions about Kosovo situation. And then it's got quotes about Bill Clinton wanted you to know what martial law is like. I remember that from 10 years ago. Let me find the martial law. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. There was a quote in there about Bill Clinton. Well, you can go read the story if you want. I'm going from 10-year memory there. Maybe another middle school. There was several articles in the Pensacola Journal, and that's the problem with 10-year-old memory. I remembered that today and had them Google it, and they found it, but there were like, I'm going to say 3 articles about it. So there's others. Michigan school district portrays homeschoolers as terrorists. This is a homeschool world alert, but I found this in AP. On Monday, September 20th, the Muskegon Chronicle in Michigan reported on a mock attack on public school bus to test terrorism response. According to the paper, the exercise was a simulated attack by a fictitious radical group called Wackos Against Schools and Education, who believe everyone should be homeschooled. Now imagine, is that trying to demonize homeschoolers? And now the federal documents are out. They are demonizing homeschoolers in federal documents. I told you this. And then they pay cops to go out and brainwash the public. And imagine the kids go home and go, yeah, the unannounced came out and threw fake blood on us, put guns to our heads, and said, we're wacko homeschoolers against public education. This was in the AP. Like it's normal. But again, this goes on everywhere. I just read you Marines doing it. According to the paper, the exercise was simulated attack by a fictitious group, radical group called Wackos Against Schools and Education, who believe everybody should be homeschooled. That's the way to demonize homeschoolers. Certainly, disaster preparedness is important, but the terrorists are portrayed as homeschoolers who think everybody should have to homeschool. Meanwhile, everybody's trying to ban homeschooling. We immediately called the Muskegon Chronicle and explained how this is offensive to millions of people who have chosen to exercise their rights to homeschool.